Hello, everybody. Welcome to Joe's Hot Takes 25. This will be Season 1, Episode 9. And what I wanted to talk to you about today is insurance. Do we need it? It's a question. So, welcome back. I'm Joe. I'm your host. We're here to tackle big questions, break down complex topics, have a little fun along the way, and provoke some thoughts. So, I'll ask some questions and let's all think about it. So I want to talk about insurance because this is something that I think affects all of us, and I have a personal story that I can share regarding insurance and if we need it and what do we need and why do we need and all these questions. So how important is it? Do we need the higher coverage, and why is it so expensive? And then maybe why, how often should we reevaluate our policies? So let's kind of get into this and let's see what we can find out about insurance. So I want to start with segment number 1 today, which is, why do we need insurance? So obviously insurance is there to protect you and your assets from unexpected financial losses. Think of it as a safety net, but one that you hope you never have to use. So here are some key areas where insurance, plays a vital role. Excuse me. So home protection, this is big, covers damage from theft, fire, and natural disasters. But you have to check on this, make sure that where your coverage is at, and make sure where your levels of coverage are. We have auto protection, which covers car damage, injuries, and liabilities from collisions. And then we have health protection, right? And that covers our medical expenses and hospitalization. And healthcare is the one that I think we all really feel a heavy squeeze on. I know our auto insurance is high. We feel that, but we really feel the squeeze with our healthcare. and so why is it so expensive? And then there's financial protection. These are like umbrella or liability policies that cover legal fees, settlements, liabilities, things like that. Me personally, we have auto insurance, we have health coverage, we have homeowners, we also have the umbrella policy. The umbrella policy, you can go $1 million, 1.5, $2 million, to whatever number you want. And of course, the higher the number, the more you're going to pay. But those are usually an annual fee. They're pretty reasonable. And it just really gives you a nice peace of mind of, wow, if something does happen and it goes beyond my coverage and liability wise, I should have some help there. So it's just a nice little safety net extra. And then, of course, there's life insurance, so life protection, which provides financial security to your family in the event of something happening to you if you passed away. So, but here's the thing. Without insurance, one major collision, one major illness, one major disaster could leave you financially devastated. So at what cost? Let's talk about it. Why is insurance so expensive? Right? We always wonder this. Like I check my insurance and I think, oh my gosh, why is this so much? Why am I paying so much for car insurance? I don't have collisions. I don't have claims. I don't have tickets. Why am I paying so much? So I've picked up the phone and I've called and I've done some research here on the internet, and because I want to be able to give some answers to some of these questions, at least give some explanations. So if you've ever felt like your insurance rates just keep climbing, you're not alone. So several factors drive up those costs. Increase in claims, huge. More collisions. So I live in the Phoenix metropolitan area. This area has just grown by leaps and bounds. There are more and more people coming into the Phoenix metropolitan area. It's probably one of the fastest growing, and has been one of the fastest growing areas in the nation for years. So the more people that come in, the more traffic that comes in, the more opportunities for collisions. Natural disasters. Here in Arizona, we don't really deal with that much, but man, look across the Midwest, look across the South and the East, where they've been getting hit with these major storms, where there's been tornadoes, major wind damage, hurricanes, a lot of flooding lately from these rainstorms. So these definitely are factors that are going to raise the claims. The more money the insurance company has to put out, the more money they're going to charge the consumer. And then healthcare costs. I mean, gosh, come on. These costs are just rising, rising, rising. Healthcare is so expensive. And and I'll digress slightly, but you wonder, why do things cost so much? So if you ever do a hospital visit and you have to stay the night in the hospital and you look at your bill afterwards, take a really close look at that bill. How much did that hospital charge for a box of Kleenex? How much was the hospital charge for the little urine bucket that they're going to put by your bedside? You may not even use it. You may never even touch that thing. Don't even need it, but you're going to get billed for it. You're going to get billed for every single little thing, and every time you push that button and ask for a nurse, it's probably going to be another dollar sign. So keep that in mind. And so those are things that will drive up the costs of these insurance. So right now, we're talking about rising costs of healthcare, rising costs of auto, and because of collisions. Well, because of those collisions, we have car repairs, we have liability. So every time you turn on the TV now, what do you see? You see all these lawyers putting their advertisements out there. In a wreck, need a check. Oh, we've gotten billions of dollars for our clients. We go after the insurance companies. So these also are rate influencers, because the more lawsuits that happen, the more liability payments that are paid out for these higher numbers, the more we're going to pay. I'm not trying to say one thing or another, but yes, we know that there are a lot of frivolous lawsuits out there that are really just not necessary, and they're raising those rates for us. So that's something else to think about. And when you find yourself in that position, to ask yourself, what do I really need out of this? Well, I just need to be made whole again. And making yourself whole doesn't mean make yourself whole plus $1 million. So, but with the rise of expensive vehicles, like I know Tesla's big right now in the news, but let's talk about that Cybertruck. That's a $100,000 vehicle. Chevrolet has now a Chevrolet Silverado pickup that is all electric. Those are running $80,000 to $100,000. That's a lot of money. You're in a collision and it's your fault and you run into one of these vehicles. Do you have enough coverage to cover that? Do you have at least $100,000 of coverage just to cover that liability? So that's why you see these higher liability limits, 300, 500,000 liability limits, because you have these expensive vehicles. Now, let's just say for whatever reason, you lose control of your vehicle and you crash into a Cybertruck, and then you spin out and you crash into a Mercedes. Well, you've just gone well over your $100,000 limit, if that was your limit. So you got to keep that in mind. And something else that I've found out is location matters. So where do you live? Do you live in an area where there's high claims? If that's true, then your rates are going to be higher in that particular area. So there is what they call risk-based pricing. So the more claims in your zip code, the rates are going to be affected by that. So the bottom line is this. Insurance companies aren't just raising rates randomly. I know we want to think that, but they're not. It's all about risk assessment and the cost of coverage. How much are these companies going to have to pay out to take care of all these things? So that was segment number 2. So I'm going to touch on segment number 3, and I want to start out with a little personal story about insurance. So I'm not a guy I've never had major claims. Yes, I've had a few car collisions in my life. There's been a few little things. A lot of, because I live in Arizona, drove a Jeep, windshields. Oh my gosh. It seems like on your Jeep, it's every other week your windshield gets cracked in Arizona. Well, those are claims. Even if you have the free glass, that's still a claim. And so those claims are going to add up. That can affect your rate, just so you know. So that is something. It's really good. My advice to you is to really talk to an agent that you trust and shop. I shop. However, I don't know that I'm going to shop insurance anymore, and I'm going to tell you why. A little over a year ago, I was doing some remodeling on my house, and uh, through the course of doing some work, I was outside, I was working, going along doing my work, and I smelled something burning. And I thought, maybe the neighbors are burning some trash or something. I don't know. And I looked around. I didn't see smoke. I went into my house. I didn't smell smoke or see any smoke. So I thought, okay, we're good. So I went back out, continued working. And I thought, boy, I really am smelling smoke. And now I see some, when I look out to the street, I can see like some smoke. So I thought, gosh, I wonder what's going on. And so I walked out into the driveway and I looked back at my house, and what do I see? Smoke billowing out of the roof of my house, out of the little whirlybirds, just smoke. And at this point, I start seeing neighbors coming out. I'm trying to get on the phone. I'm trying to call 911. I need to get the fire department started there. Um, your first instinct is, I can handle this. It's not that bad. I'll just get the garden hose and I can fix this. Not so much. Um, so, needless to say, we had a pretty significant attic fire. That very significant attic fire turned out when the fire department arrived on scene, and bless their hearts, the firefighters were absolutely awesome, absolutely respectful. They went into our house. They grabbed several pictures that I guess they felt were important. Maybe some of them were from our wedding. They grabbed pictures and brought them outside, and they brought out a small little cabinet that turns out it's my wife's grandmother's cabinet. So it was a very special piece of furniture, and they brought it outside. But once they did that, then the fire suppression starts. And fire suppression, in this case, because it's an attic fire, means tearing down all of the ceilings. And when you start pulling down the drywall from the ceilings, along comes all of the insulation. And with that, water's going up into that attic area to suppress the flames and the heat. So you can imagine the absolute mess that this makes. It just destroys everything. What the fire and smoke don't damage, trust me, the water and debris does damage. It's an old house that we have. It's a very old house. And because of its age, the insurance company requested asbestos testing. And lo and behold, we find asbestos in the ceiling, the walls, and the floor. The insurance company, and I'm going to give a shout out to American Family Insurance. American Family Insurance. They said, your house is a total loss. All of your contents, everything, total loss. Wow. Everything we had gone. We have to start all over fresh. And I didn't sleep for a couple of days. Let me tell you what happened first. I'm going to share this because I think it's important. The fire occurred around 5 o'clock in the evening, 4 or 5 o'clock. All right. I made the claim about probably 7 o'clock that night. By the time I got to my friend's house, got showered, collected myself, you kind of have to come down a little bit from this adrenaline dump that you're dealing with. And I called American Family Insurance and I said, I need to make a claim. And they said, what's your claim? And I said, well, I had a house fire. And they said, first of all, are you safe? I said, yes, I'm safe. My family's safe. Second, do you have clothes? Do you have a place to stay? And do you have food? And I thought, wow, it's really insightful. I said, yes, we're good. We're blessed. We're able to stay at a friend's house, so we have everything we need. So they said, okay, great. We will have a claims adjuster contact you, but if you need anything in the interim, let us know. Almost immediately, the claims adjusters called and gave us a form to fill out, and basically it gets everything started. And that very first contact resulted in them saying, we need to know What was your loss on, what did you lose in your bathroom with razors, shampoo, underarm, deodorant? What did you lose with food in your refrigerator and things like that? And you don't think about it, but you add those things up, and I gave them a number, and the next day they deposit the money into my account and allow you to continue to live without all the stress. And when I sat down with the adjuster, again, this is American Family, and I sat down with the adjuster, and this is a major loss. This is a complete loss of a home. And once the fire investigators had completed their investigation, the insurance company sat down with me and said, "We're going to make you whole again. You have insurance. That's why you paid for it. We will make you whole again." Now, keep in mind, this is an older house. And so making me whole again is not just rebuilding the house at this point. Making me whole again means I have to bring the building codes, I have to bring the house up to current building code standards. That meant all new water lines, all new power, everything, everything. Our house is block. Our house was gutted out, and the only thing that was left was the original foundation and the original block walls. The whole house was redone. And what a feeling of gratitude and gratefulness, and I don't even know how to explain it, but to have an insurance adjuster sit down with you and basically look you in the eye and say, "Don't worry, go to sleep tonight. We're going to make you whole again. That's what you have insurance for." Unbelievable. And I'm going to tell you that this insurance company has been amazing to work with. Amazing. And I have no complaints. So I will probably not be shopping insurance anymore. I think I'm probably a lifetime American Family Insurance guy. American Family, if you're listening, please don't raise my rates just because of that. Okay. So I wanted to share that. And like I said, they do make you whole again. So, and my phone's ringing, but that's why I don't have an edited podcast. So it's just going to ring. So yeah, I wanted to talk about that. Like, we were covered. Our ceilings were down. Our walls were down. Our roof was taken off. Water was everywhere. Asbestos everywhere. Just imagine if you did not have the coverage that you needed to replace that. I don't know about you, but I just don't have that kind of money in my pocket to be able to do that. So, have your insurance and, talk to your insurance agents and really evaluate what you have and what kind of coverage you need to protect yourself. Because one situation like this can ruin you completely. Okay, so let me jump into segment number 4, which is, I'm going to call it Insurance by the Numbers. So let's look at some eye-opening statistics and on why insurance is necessary. And I'll talk to you a little bit here in some of these stats that I found on why. Why is it necessary and why is it expensive? So in 2022, traffic collisions resulted in $470 billion in total loss. That was a B for billion. $470 billion in total loss, 2022. Those are traffic collisions. There were 42,514 deaths from motor vehicle crashes in 2022. 2.6 million emergency visits. That's heading off to the emergency room, and we talked about how much that can cost. That were due to vehicle crash injuries, and that was again in 2022, 2.6 million. Now, I keep saying crashes. I don't say accidents because really nobody gets up in the morning and says, "Oh, I'm going to go get in a crash today." Nobody does that. We get into these collisions because of things that happen. But when you really look back at collisions, they're preventable. They are preventable, and that makes them a collision, not really an accident. It's just we're not accidentally running a red light and crashing or accidentally making a left turn in front of a car. These things could be prevented. So these are really collisions. Alcohol involved crashes account for 14,219 fatalities in 2019. Over 14,000 people died because of alcohol-involved crashes in 2019. And $68.9 billion in costs. So just for the alcohol-involved crashes, almost $69 billion in costs, and at the cost of over 14,000 human lives. It's terrible. There's estimates, and again, these are, I don't know how you validate them, but these are estimates of seatbelts have saved over 400,000 lives since 1975. Most crashes, over 90%, are caused by human error. Each claim affects your premiums. Remember that. And 90% are caused by human error. That leaves you a 10% mechanical error or an act of God, a tree falls, that you can't do anything about. So 90%, over 90% human error. Now, I did talk about a lot of insurance in Arizona offers free windshield replacements. But remember, those are claims, and those can still increase your rates. So let's jump into my last segment number 5, is what can you do? We all feel the financial squeeze of healthcare. We feel the financial squeeze of auto, home, life, umbrella policies. Oh my gosh, all these insurance that we have to have. And it's frustrating. And what do we do? So one thing in doing my research that I've found as a recommendations. So these aren't my recommendations. These are from doing internet researching different areas. 1, reevaluate your coverage annually. So your needs change, and so do your insurance options. So don't just always auto renew. Get with your agent, find out what's best. If you need to, shop. I mean, you can do that. So that was the next thing, is compare your rates. You can shop around, see if there's a better deal. That's how I ended up with my insurance now. Is my prior insurance, the rates kept going up, everything was changing, and they couldn't explain it. I reached out to my current carrier. They had a much better rate. I took it, and thank goodness I took it, because they've been great. Always, if you can, bundle your policies. So anytime, a lot of these companies will offer discounts if you're bundling up like your auto, your home, and other things. You know, if you have a boat or an RV or a motorcycle, or if you want the umbrella policies, things like that. If you can, bundle, and you'll save some money that way too. To make it a lower monthly premium, one thing that you can do is increase your deductible. So I know a lot of people I talk to are like, oh, I have like a $500 deductible. Well, I mean, you can do that. I carry a $1,000 deductible on everything, but that means you have to keep that $1,000 put away somewhere in case you need it. So you have to have it available, or you're not going to be able to pay your deductible. And always ask about discounts. A lot of companies are offering where you can put a thing in the port of your car to track your driving. If your driving's good, your rates go down. If driving's bad, your rates are going to go up. So, you know, I don't know what kind of car you have or how you drive, but that matters. But safe drivers, safe home, loyalty discounts, they have things like that out there. Ask about it. If you're like me and you're over 55 years old, you can ask for senior discounts if they have it available. And then here's my advice based on what I've learned and based on just my years of driving and using insurance. Avoid unnecessary claims. look, if you can afford a small repair, don't file a claim on it. If you have a fender bender and you look at your car and you're like, you know what, I can probably, get this dent fixed and buffed out and it might cost me a couple thousand, it's worth it to just fix it yourself, because you're going to pay the $500 or $1,000 deductible. You're going to take your car down, they're going to fix it, and then you're going to have a claim, and that will affect you moving forward. So keep that in mind. If you can do that, if you can take care of it yourself, it's better on these small things. So, okay. So I think we covered it. So our closing thoughts. So do we need better coverage? Yes, probably. Probably we need to evaluate and make sure that we have ample coverage for our needs. Is insurance expensive? Yes, it is. It is. And I hope that you understand why. We've talked a little bit about why those rates are where they're at. There's just not a lot we can do about it individually. We can be better drivers. We can, try to not, avoid making unnecessary claims, things like that. But overall, it is what it is. But let me tell you this, the peace of mind is priceless. So I'm going to tell you, in our situation, it is priceless that we had ample coverage to take care of us. That was really important. So don't always just buy the cheapest insurance, buy the right insurance. And this is not an insurance ad. This is purely, I'm just going to give you the information and you make your own decisions. But based on my personal experience, don't just buy cheap stuff. Buy the one that you need. Buy what will take care of you if you need it. So for today, that is it for Joe's Hot Takes 25. Thank you so much for tuning in. It really means a lot to me. It's important, stay curious, stay informed. Always, 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 please be kind to one another. And we'll see you on the next episode. Bye.